Mia! Hi everyone, I'm back today to talk about the best books that I read last year. There are 5, my top 5 books of 2019. I read 68 books last year, so finding the top 5 took a little bit of thinking. There were 2 books on this list that I was absolutely, definitely always going to have in my top reads because they just jumped straight into my head. But the rest of them as well, when I sort of look back over the books I'd read, they jumped out as absolute star books. So in no particular order, I'm just going to get cracking because I picked them all off my shelf, so they're in no particular order. And the first one I'm going to talk about is this one, The Passengers by John Marrs. This is a sort of a new style thriller. It is about a group of people who are living a little bit in the future, and cars are now automatic. And I don't mean automatic as in like an automatic car where you push drive and park and whatever. I mean automatic as in you get in the car, you program where you're going and you sit back and chill and the car takes you where you're going to go. So cars can now do this, and there's different levels of cars. So there are some where you can sort of change the route and things, but there are some cars that you get in, they're fully level 5 cars and they're fully automated, in which once you program yourself in, the car locks all of the doors and it takes you, and it decides the route it's taken. You can't avoid a certain road or anything, the car knows where to go. At the same time, these cars are built with a sort of a risk management sort of inbuilt feature, so that if there's going to be a crash, the car can speak to the other car. So say you've got a family of 5 in one car and you've got one lone person in the other car, if there's going to be a fatal car collision, the cars should decide how to handle that so that only the person with the one passenger in it dies, essentially. And the cars make all of these decisions for everybody's life. And at one point, very obviously, as would happen, I would imagine, somebody figures out how to hack into the car, sort of into the car memory board thing, and take over. And the result is pretty shocking. So we've got 8 passengers who are all in different cars, and they are all on a collision course to collide and die. And it becomes the ultimate reality TV show. So the hackers have taken over everything, and this is being streamed live, and people have got to vote, and people are all just going crazy on social media. And it is just sort of a look at the times, and a look at what life means, and a look at technology. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. 5-star read. This is a proof copy, so it's different to the one that you'll see in the shops, but I can't recommend that one enough. It was brilliant. The next book that I've got is this one. This is The Familiars by Stacey Halls. I've talked about this book non-stop since I read it. I absolutely loved it. It's set back in the 16 or the 1700s. I think it might be the 1600s. 1612. It's set back when sort of witch trials were at their height in the UK, and we follow Fleetwood, who is desperate for a child, and she's had many miscarriages, and she really wants to cement herself and have a child. But unfortunately, no one's able to help her do that. She's been warned not to carry on trying to have children, but here she is again, she's pregnant, and she finds herself an unusual midwife who seems to operate slightly on the outskirts of society, and with that comes a lot of suspicion. This was just a fantastic look at female friendship, superstition, society, the power that men had at one point, and in many societies they still do have. And I love this so much. Anything to do with witchcraft and a historical sort of setting gets me so much. And I powered through this. I love the old style language in it. I do apologise if you can hear my washing machine. It's suddenly kicked up a notch, and this is the only time I've got to film this, so please try and tune out the washing machine. But this was just amazing. And Stacey Halls has a new book coming out this year, I believe. I might be wrong, I'll have to look it up. But as soon as it comes out, you can bet that I'm going to be straight there to buy it. And I really hope it comes out in a special edition like this as well. This was the Waterstones one, and I am a sucker for sprayed edges and a pretty cover, and I'm desperate to see what Stacey Halls has to come next because I love this. Next up will be no shock to many of you, and it is The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. I won't reiterate what so many booktube channels have covered, myself included, about what The Testaments is about. It's the follow-on to The Handmaid's Tale. I've never seen the TV series, but I love the book, and I was desperate to get this as soon as it came out, and it was everything I hoped it would be. This seems to be sort of a love-hate situation because a lot of people have really not liked this, but the majority have, and I loved it. 5-star read. If you love The Handmaid's Tale, you really have to read this one and just see where the story goes next, because it was everything I hoped it would be. And I did read The Handmaid's Tale many years ago, back when I was 18. I won't say how old I am now, but it's been over a decade. It's been over a decade. So I was really excited when this came out and rushed in to buy it. Sorry, no I didn't. I hinted and my husband rushed in to buy it. And so yeah, it was everything I hoped it would be, and I wasn't disappointed. Next up, we've got one that I read near the end of the year, and that is this one, The Raven Wheel by A.F. Stone. This, how do I describe this to you? This was absolutely brutal. It was brilliant. It was dark. It was just so encompassing, and I love a story where the main characters have got a darkness about them, but the darkness doesn't feel like it's put there for shock value. It feels like it is their character, and I really resonated with the characters in this. This is about 3 teenagers who are just sort of fighting their inner demons. We've got Rhea, who really hates her dad. She spends a lot of time on her own. Rhea's a delicate girl who has been forced to become a very hard girl. And you can see just every part of her where she's been let down time and time again by different people in her life. And I really felt for her, and I really loved Rhea as a character. There's also Kian. Kian is your typical little boy lost, and my heart goes out to him. It just hurts for him. He has always wanted his mum's love, and he really wants his mum to just be there for him. And his mum has been absent for a lot of his life, but she's back, and Kian just really wants to make her love him in the way that he loves her, and he's desperate for sort of that maternal love. And being a mum, my heart hurts for him, and I just felt so much for Kian. And yeah, so that's Kian. And then we've also got Ty. Ty's a bit of a rebel, and he's always getting into trouble, and he has a heart of gold. If he cares about you, he'll do anything for you, and I found myself really warming to Ty. I really liked him as a character, and that's something that I will say. I really enjoyed all of these characters. I liked them. I could see where things had gone wrong for them, and I felt for them. And like I say, this is such a brutal book. If you are easily triggered by a variety of subjects, then this might not be the book for you, but if you can read something a bit more nitty-gritty, then I really would recommend this to you, because it was fantastic. 5-star read. And last, but by no means least, this is Dogs by M.A. Bennett. And I love M.A. Bennett. You've probably heard me talk about her a lot and say how much I love her books. This is a YA thriller, and it's a follow-on from Stags, which if you haven't read Stags, you need to. It's fantastic. This is Dogs. It has our characters back again, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to leave spoilers for what happens in Stags. It's always difficult to talk about a sequel, but this was everything I hoped it would be. And there's a third coming out called Foxes, and yeah, I'm there for it. It is YA, but as I've already sort of alluded to within this video, I'm well past YA age, and I absolutely love this. It didn't feel childish. It didn't feel like it was aimed just at teenagers. Yes, they are teenagers in the story, but it's just brilliant. So those were my top 5 reads of last year. Do let me know if you've read any of them. Let me know if you're going to, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.